students I cannot. It's okay. We are very, very grateful because we've got these 5 extremely interesting women. And if you go screen up there, okay, thank you. Yes, so I'm just kidding. Very well, extremely well. Don't I, ladies? First of all, thank you, Sazi, for being our host this evening. Sazi, as you know, is also an entrepreneur, and she's a Digital Malaysia ambassador. I'm not going to sell Digital Malaysia. We have Ngayuan, who I remember from her television days, which was not that long ago. I was trying to pretend to be young. Did you not have to say that? Okay, and we have Jolene, Janice, and Satira. Listen, it's not my job to say anything about entrepreneurship because I makan gaji that disqualifies me. But these women have done some fantastic things, and the purpose of having these sessions is so that we can remove the barriers. So I just have one favor of you. Pretend you're not sitting in the Hilton. Pretend people are not wearing jackets and there's all of this funky stuff. Just imagine you're in somebody's, well, in Sazi's lounge, and you're going to ask them straight questions. And we want you to work them really hard tonight. So the really tough questions, okay? See, that's challenge. In the words of How I Met Your Mother, challenge accepted. So, without much further ado, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of MDEC, thank you very much for coming here. Hope you have a great session. And I'd now like to call Sazi up.
Thank you very much, VJ, and a very good evening, ladies and gents. First of all, thank you to MDEC for having me be here. It's an honor to be moderating this, and as VJ mentioned, I am also an entrepreneur, and basically how I'm going to do this tonight is make it sort of like, it's Google Hangouts. We're just going to hang out, find out more, learn from these ladies, and it's stuff that I like to know about myself. You know, people like Naiwen, I've known you for ages too, not 12 years, though I've known about you for 12 years or more, and Satira, and of course Jolene and Janice. So, but before I start, I'd like to know how many of you out here are entrepreneurs? Start your own company? Businessman, business lady? Awesome. All right. So I hope this session will give you something and that you'll walk away learning a lot of things from all these fantastic ladies. All right. So let me do the introduction. As you know, we have 4 fantastic ladies that's going to join me on stage. First person is, she is the CEO of AlphaPod. AlphaPod, in a nutshell, creates, you call that? It creates mobile apps. Yeah, it's so funny. I was talking to you about it for half an hour, and here I am just thinking, what is it? So she creates mobile apps, and she's the CEO, and not only that, she's also the chief ninja. I'll let her tell you more about that. So everybody, please welcome Janice Tan, or Janice T. You can sit anywhere. Come and join me. The next person I'm going to introduce, she's someone that's very familiar in the entertainment industry, in the arts industry, and I mentioned I've known her for quite a bit. I knew her from the beginning as a TV host, and I know she started out a lot of campaign stuff, and she's someone that's very well known in the entertainment industry. Please welcome Lai Wen. The next person that I'm going to invite on stage, she is the co-founder and director of marketing of Incentify, a company that was formerly known as Senseless. Please welcome Jolene Sim. And last but not least, someone that I've known for a couple of years as well. In fact, she made my kid's birthday cake about 2 years ago, wasn't it? She is the founder of Pearl Cake, and she was once upon a time an NTV7 TV host. Please welcome Satira. Hello, ladies. You know what? This is my opportunity to become an Oprah Winfrey, but suddenly I'm on stage. I'm like, oh my God, who do I start with? Okay, let's start with you. I know you talk a lot. Ngaiwen, in a nutshell, what do you do?
So I head two NGOs now. One is Kakisani, another one is Women Girls, and I run other businesses to support these two NGOs. So the other businesses that I do would be event management, curators, programming, television and film production, as well as ideation, uh, design, and consulting.
Right, thank you very much. What about you, Janice? AlphaPod. Tell us more about AlphaPod and how you started it.
Like you said, so I do mobile apps. We do iOS and Android. We've been doing our own apps, which is like Devo and Finder and stuff. But now we're currently like kind of focused on a lot of client work because of the apps we've done. We've been getting a lot of demand and requests for client work, like iProperty and Softland, Johnny Walker.
You have a big clientele, just checking out your clients.
Yes.
Not bad.
So yeah, so we do pretty cool apps like campaign apps, functional apps and stuff. Yeah, so we've been here for 5 years. I think that we started during the time of 3GS iPhone, so it's like really long ago. And yeah, and we've been building apps since then. And yeah, I think I also do Ninja Joe, which is I also founded Ninja Joe 5 years ago, which is a pork burger place. Yeah. So
where's Ninja Joe?
We have outlets in Gardens, in One Utama, in Tropicana, and yes.
Ninja Joe. So I mean, you're running two completely different businesses. I'm gonna ask you more about that later on.
Yes.
I'm gonna move on to Jolene. So Jolene, tell us more about Incentify, formerly known as Senseless.
Yeah.
What is it about?
In a nutshell, we've got two product lines too. We call ourselves bonusing for education and social media, right? So when you think of bonusing, what do you think about? You go to Shell station, you pump petrol, you get points, you get prizes, right? We do that in the education sector, where we encourage kids to learn by giving them points for educational behavior in class as well as online. We power the largest financial education portal funded by the Maybank Foundation called Cashville Kids. For the other product line, we actually do bonusing for social media. So for those people who have businesses in the crowd, what we help you do is we help you convert casual browsers into serious buyers that are willing to share, tweet, download the voucher, watch the video, visit your website, check in on Foursquare at your store.
And you get points.
And you get points for that. And we've worked with clients ranging from Air Asia Go, Taitung, etc.
But what do you do with those points then? Let's just say they collected like a bunch of points.
For a 2 months campaign which we ran for Air Asia Go in 2012, what the contestant did was whenever they tweeted about the featured tourism destination of the week, they could get points, which eventually they could use to redeem for like a 3 days, 2 night stay in Bali.
I'm so on that.
Yeah, that was great. We got 150% return for them for that campaign. Okay. So we do that ranging from big businesses to end of this month. We hope to be able to help SMEs by launching a new product. So yeah, that's basically what I do.
Yeah, we were discussing about this points and everything, and how. And I was mentioning about Chirp Chirp and all that. They also do some sort of like social media marketing, and people gain, well, not points, but ringgit. So how different is it?
Well, I guess it comes to the point in which Chirp Chirps are third-party tools. And as a brand owner, you want to own your own loyal customer base. People who are seriously, passionate about perhaps Ninja Joe. Instead of some stranger out there that could or could not be passionate about Ninja Joe, but just wants to share about Ninja Joe because of the money. So now brands can actually take ownership of this social loyalty. And unlike Chirp Chirp or third-party softwares, we are able to integrate with multiple social media channels, not only just Facebook, Twitter, we also do Instagram, web portal, email integration. There are about 20 different actions that we are enabling. Yeah.
Name us a few of the actions.
Subscribing to email is very popular among the
Watching
people.
YouTube?
Watching YouTube. Downloading vouchers are very popular for people with restaurant chains like Taitung. Yeah, and even some of the e-commerce sites are talking about integration with more popular sites such as Magento, etc. So we're exploring those.
Nice, nice. We'll talk more about that. Let's go to Satira Diana. Hey Satira, so you were a TV host once upon a time as well.
Yes.
But how long? And you now make cakes. So you're
Yeah,
the founder
but
of
I've
Pro Cakes.
always actually made cakes even when I was a host. So
Okay.
hosting actually came later. I was a reporter before I started off my career as a reporter. Somehow, magically found my passion in cakes. Although I have to say my business was not as intense as the three other ladies we just introduced. But yeah, I can get pretty hardcore sometimes. I do know. A lot of people know me as the cake girl.
The cake girl.
But what
You don't look like you eat cake though.
moderation
out?
is key, my dear.
Okay,
Moderation.
alright. So you just do the cake,
in
don't eat all of
moderation,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
So I also do party planning, so event
Nice.
styling. So that's how I kind of prep myself for rainy days. As you all know, there are tons of cake companies just popping like mushrooms. So you gotta prep yourself
Yeah.
and diversify your skills, which I'm sure we'll be talking about more later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I mean that'll be the gist of it about
Yeah.
competition. How do you handle that? I mean, but how long has Pearl Cake been around?
Pearl Cakes this month will be 4 years old.
4 years old.
Yes.
But how long have you been making cake?
5 years actually. I'm a self-taught cake artist.
All right.
I actually didn't know how to bake till about 2 years ago. So
2
when
years
I
ago, but you've been having
when-
Pearl Cakes for 5
yeah.
years. Wait.
So when I started my business,
my
I
maths.
hired other
Uh-uh.
people to bake my cakes.
Oh.
Because I've never been that passionate about baking. My mother was. I actually led baking with my mom.
Okay.
So I was always an art student. I love art, and cake is just a medium of me to translate my creativity.
Okay.
So it just came about by accident. I was helping out my friend baking cupcakes. She had her first time, like she was a young housewife, first time had a big major order of 250 cupcakes, didn't know what to do. Coincidentally, I was hanging out at her place, and I was looking at her colors, right? I was like, babe, why don't you just continue baking? Let me finish with the frosting. And then, that was when I started changing her colors, mixing it up a bit and learning more via, on YouTube, through trial and error.
And I mean,
after 6
information's
months,
everywhere now, right?
yeah,
on the internet.
after 6 months, it's like I kind of get a hang of cupcakes and like, yeah, I need something more. I need a big challenge. Then I moved on to wedding cakes. So that's kind of how my business grew from learning from one skill into another.
Interesting,
That's
but
okay.
I just gotta ask. So that birthday cake that you made for my kids, was
Yeah.
it you or someone else?
2 years ago, I could bake already. It was me,
Sifu,
it
you
was me,
said
it
2
was me.
years. So 3 years ago was different, ma?
2 years ago, maybe it was my mom.
It was a storybook cake.
It was very, yeah, I remember.
So there was
There
you.
was a lot of work involved, a lot of hand painting work
I
involved.
know,
right?
and I'm like one
Yeah,
of those
and then
crazy
suddenly-
mamas. I want this and this and this.
And then
and
suddenly
this.
last minute, can you also include a cake for my husband?
I know, it was a Manchester United cake.
Yeah, because they all had the same birthday, right? Your
Yes.
daughters and your husband, the same
Yes.
birthdays.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's how you started. You didn't even know how to bake,
I didn't know.
and
how
now
to
you
bake.
run Pearl Cakes. So
Exactly.
basically, that's what you. So you took. That's a good question. Can you give us an example of how you incorporate creativity and innovation in your business besides the one that you just told us? What
Yeah.
else do you do right now? How do you put it?
Basically, that's in a nutshell. I can't say how. It's hard to answer that because my business revolves around creativity
Mhm.
and innovation in sense that how I kind of differentiate myself from other
Yeah.
cake companies is how I interpret my styles and creativity. It's always got to be different from what other people are offering. That's how you
Yeah.
distinguish yourself.
Yeah.
So as a person myself, I get bored of my work very quickly. So
Oh.
for example, if you want me to do another storybook cake, I'll say, yes, I will, but I will do a lot of changes here and there
Something
because
different.
I'm not very capable of doing mass products.
Yeah.
I'm incapable, in fact. So I'm always changing and changing and changing. My mind is constantly looking at, like, I cannot look at my work yesterday, today, and feel the same way.
Mhm.
I feel like I could have done that better. So I'm constantly changing as a person and in my mind, my
Yeah.
creativity. So that is how I constantly implement creativity to my work. So it's very hard to say because it happens on a daily basis.
In a way, you go with the flow, lah.
I go
You
with
know,
the flow,
whatever you
just
feel
chill
like,
lah.
whatever you're inspired by at that moment in
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
all
There
that.
will be days though when you're just stuck, like how writers have.
I know those days.
writer's
Do we
block.
have those days, ladies?
Yeah, and you're
All
like
the time.
cringing.
Mhm.
What do I do? What do I do? Okay, coffee, but chill. But
Yeah.
eventually it comes. When it comes, it just pours.
Okay.
Right.
All right. But that's one question. Okay, it's really interesting. You didn't know how to bake cake and you started pearl cakes. I mean, what was what was that final thing that made you decide, like, okay, I'm just going to go 100% in this
Yeah.
pearl cakes, with
When
pearl cakes?
when I first started, in fact, when I was venturing, kind of exploring in the world of cupcakes, it wasn't a glamorous profession. I had to hide it from my mom and my dad, from my family. I had to kind of, go off the radar from my friends because
Mhm.
it wasn't glamorous. I was working um, in media and broadcasting.
Yeah.
People made fun of me. They're like,
Really?
why are you baking? It's like only the munchy bakes. Kind of that was the kind of perspective that people used to have 5 years
But fast
ago.
forward till now, I mean,
Fast
to now
forward
you look
till
at
now.
Instagram, they're like,
Yeah, everybody wants to be a cake
Everybody's
artist.
doing cakes.
Everybody wants to be a cake boss.
yeah.
But I think I had a vision
Mhm.
back then, before knowing a lot of other icons in the cake and dessert world. Martha Stewart was my main idol, and I saw how she took things, the craft world, into a whole different level.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a household name like Martha. I had this vision of, oh, I'm going to do my own cake show one day. I'm going to have, I'm going to have my retail shop selling all
Mhm.
these cake supplies and all that. Not just cakes. I want to go beyond, further. So of course, I can't share this with
So some
people.
maybe some DIY in the future.
Yes, DIY. It was very hard to share this idea with people who I was close with, as well as my family at that time, because they were afraid um, that there was no future, there's no money, there's no profit, people will not recognize you, you get bored of it, things like that. Usual stuff that parents and friends get concerned
Yeah.
about. But I stuck by it. At the same time, I knew it was going to be hard, so I've always had a backup job.
Mhm,
I was
mhm.
reading news on the radio. I was also hosting. So I've always had something else to help me go through my business, because I started my business with no capital at all.
No
Zero
capital at all.
So when I decided, of course, for a year I did it with my friend. When I decided to progress further and create my own company, with the 1 year experience that I had, with so much confidence that I was going to rule the world,
I felt like that once upon a time. Okay.
I had already slowly gained followers on Facebook,
Mhm.
and people who believed in my skills.
Yep.
So based on that, I asked them. I even asked my followers, my
Customers.
basically customers.
Mhm.
Do you think it's a good idea if I start my own company? And most of them responded really well. Said,
Yeah.
yes, you should go for it.
Yeah.
And so they said, we're going to support you. If no one else will, we're going to support you. So my customers are the one who actually pushed me.
That's
And
great. Yeah.
so I started my business slowly by getting deposits per order,
Mhm.
and just slowly building my tools. I didn't have a good KitchenAid mixer up till like only about a year and a half later after starting Pro.
Wow.
I didn't have a big oven after maybe about the same time.
So you
I
slowly
started-
grew.
I grew. I just worked with what I have,
Okay.
and that is what I find a lot of young entrepreneurs, take for granted. They usually think that, oh no, I need a big model. I need to have immediately a big oven kitchen. No,
Mhm,
you just
mhm.
work with what you have, and then you feel, you feel all the tears and the
Yeah.
sweat that you go through, and then when you can finally reward yourself with a good mixer or good equipment, then you've come.
I mean,
to
I
where
relate
it
to that
is.
very well. I
Yeah.
mean, I started with my own money and stuff, and I sort of grew from there. I didn't have
Mhm.
any big branding, big shop, or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
so good on you.
Yes,
All right,
thank
that's
you.
awesome. And well, you started with no capital, no nothing. What about you, AlphaPod? Did you actually go to an investor like, give me money, I got this great idea?
Yeah,
How
my
did it
investor
start?
is MDEC actually.
MDEC.
So
Ah.
yeah. So how I started is I'm sorry, I need to check. Do I look at you or look at them?
You can look at me also because I'm pretty, or you can look at them because they're very pretty and handsome also. Can
Okay, both lah. So
everybody, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, how it started was my husband had
Mhm.
an idea.
When was
Uh,
this? How many years ago was this?
Actually, that was like 6, 7 years ago.
209?
208. 8, yes.
Okay.
So when he got this idea, which is a food finder, it was just okay lah. We have an idea, and
Mhm.
and during that time, thankfully, the timing was great. Pre-seed grant was available, which is
Ah.
150 to anyone who can pitch a good idea.
Okay.
So we went through the pitches, I mean, the first one was a business plan, and then after that, 2-page. So we got it. So it's 150 to start a business. Ta-da!
Okay.
Thanks, MDEC. So, yeah.
Was that enough?
Of course not. But at least they got the ball
Something.
rolling, you know,
At least
because
something, yeah.
the thing is, you see, I have this analogy of, you know, jumping off the plane. So if you jump off the plane, I mean, starting off is like jumping off the plane.
Because you don't know what to expect. You just do it first and then
correct.
you
But
work your way around it.
but if you know that you're jumping off the plane with a parachute, will you jump? You would jump,
Yeah.
because you know that you have a parachute, right? So I think the funding provides that.
You will actually have a big chance of
Yeah,
survival.
because you have money, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, backing, right? So you dare to make the first step, and
Yeah.
but then having said that, how you use the money is important. Giving you the parachute is one, but whether you use it right is another. If
Exactly,
you don't pull,
yeah.
then gone,
Yeah.
you know. So
you may have all the money, but not a great plan, and then in the end,
yes,
you're just wasting
correct.
money.
So
Yeah.
what happened is, to date, thank God that till to date we have not put. I mean, we kind of bootstrap, and we didn't have any external investors so far. So we started with that, and then the first customer we had was iProperty actually. So they saw Wood Food, which is the food finder app, which we use the government money for, and then they spotted us, and then that's how it got it rolling. So we had, in fact, through these years, we didn't really do aggressive marketing. It was more of word of mouth.
Word of mouth recommendations.
Also because the market wasn't ready, because like 5 years ago, it's like,
Yeah, were there any other companies like AlphaPort back then, about 6 years ago? People that did mobile apps.
we were one of the first
Pioneers
ones
lah.
yeah. But there was lah, but their focus was more of like the really big guys.
Okay.
Like doing.
But don't you handle the big guys? I see your clientele, not bad.
Big-ish. I mean, now 5 years ago it was the biggest.
You
we
have
had,
Tourism Malaysia, Volkswagen.
yeah. Now. So this business, I mean, these deals all came like
Later on.
last 2 years.
All right.
Yeah. So the mobile scene has really picked up. I think you all of you will agree to that. So
Yes.
and the mobile penetration is much higher now. You can actually see everyone using a smartphone, almost everyone. You know.
Yeah. Actually.
So that's what really fueled the business lah. So to date we've done almost 40 apps.
Wow.
Yeah,
So when you started the company, I mean, how did the idea come about? Was it you and your husband who sat down like, okay?
Actually,
Because there were no other
it's not
competitors.
like boom, whoa, we should start a company. Unfortunately, it was actually a requirement from MDEC.
Hey, it's something and it led you here.
So we had
this
to
is something
start.
I didn't know. Okay.
We had to start a company to get the funding, because the money has to go into a bank account, right? So that's how. So unsexy, right?
Hey, unsexy is the
incorporation.
new sexy. I just made that up. But okay, let's talk about
Yeah.
competitors. Like
Yeah.
you have competitors. I mean, I'm facing that as well because I run a online retail business, and obviously when I started it, not many people were doing it. Now everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Obviously, when you first started, there were no big competitors.
Yes,
Now
but
you
the
do.
market wasn't ready. So now the market is ready, but we're one of the pioneers, and I think we have.
Does it give you an advantage being one of the pioneers?
I think it kind of does, but at the end of the day, it's your product that speaks for itself.
That's true.
If you do, your service is good, your product is good, you build a good app, I think that helps. I think one of our strengths is because, and that's why we are not really threatened, because we build our own app, and that's how we learn. And I practically send my tech partner back to school,
Wow.
because So for mobile apps, there's actually this thing called, everyone, Java programmers, okay, it's quite common during that time. So you can code and then you can throw it inside something and it becomes an app. So when we started, we actually used that way. And then we hit the wall and we say, hey, this one, tak boleh.
Were you techie people before this?
Actually no. My degree is in financial engineering,
Yeah.
and my
You were
master's is
actually
in finance.
operations before
So,
that.
I was doing business improvements.
Mm-hmm.
So, i.e., no scope. It's like, there, improve my business. Okay, boss. That's all. So I didn't really have a scope. So I was kind of exposed to everything, which is really good experience
Yeah.
for me. Yeah. So so basically is that so Alpha Pod, our strength is more of like, because we went through the whole process, building it. And then and then we learn from scratch, meaning that I sent so my tech partner had to go back to school and kind of study
Learning in those
Objective
things.
C, which
I mean,
is like,
how many of you were there when you first started?
how many of us?
Yeah.
Three.
3. And what about now?
Me, my husband, and my tech partner. Now we're around 12.
All
12
right.
of us. Yeah.
After 6 years, 12. I mean, 12
After
is a lot.
5
That's a
years,
big number.
Yeah, 12. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So most of them are coders lah.
And where's your office? Do you have your own office?
Yes.
Okay.
In PJ. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I asked this because I read up about businessmen, especially like Steve Jobs, let's just say, and he started his business in his garage. So it's interesting. So it makes people like me feel okay about myself because I started in my dining room with no
Yeah. That's where we
storage.
started.
And then after that, the back of a house, you know?
So we started in my house, 3 of us. So yeah, we used to work together. So it's like after work, then it's my house, and then work, and then So
Yeah.
bye social life.
But at that time, you were still working in a company.
Yes. When we first started, because we were waiting for the grant to like confirm, okay, someone, we can leave and do this full time. So
When did you finally leave to make this? be a
actually,
full-time?
my husband and my tech partner left first.
Oh,
Yeah. So me and my husband, it was like someone has to
at least, yeah.
Yeah. So like what Satira went through, like you kept your job to like, okay, backup plan, right? So that's what we did. So I had to stay at work, and he and my tech partners work full time, which which was the MDEC, how MDEC funding helped lah.
Yeah.
So I kept my job, I think, for after 1 year.
1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the crazy thing was that we started Ninja Joe the same time.
You started what? Ninja Joe at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm way over my head just running one business and still having this career, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and you running 2 businesses at the same time. How do you even juggle your time between 2 businesses?
Yeah. Jolene asked me that question a lot of times, and I said one word: crazy. Not recommended.
And you have a kid as well. You're a mom.
Yes, I have a kid. Yeah. Yeah, a son, which
son.
is very hyper.
I mean, we haven't even gone to Ngai Wen yet.
Yes,
She's
that's
got
right.
about 12 of them. Okay lah, 5, right? Oh, 4. Okay. After 3, you get a bit confused. How many again? You know. But yeah, and being a mom and running your own business and all that.
So I mean, between that's why I think what's important, which I think this is a women's event earlier lah. So I'll just speak in that terms. I think being a woman is I think if you really want to do business, you have to really evaluate nicely lah, because I think we have a higher purpose, which is to become mothers or wife. So
With a nurturing type in the end.
yeah. I mean, mother is the mother lah. So for me, I feel that you need to make sure that you have the support system in place. So for me, my in-laws are very supportive. I mean, my parents
That's
and my
great.
in-laws are very supportive. So getting them to understand that, okay, I'm going to make the leap. So I need support. If they say yes, go for it, then yes. But if there is like, friction and stuff, then it's going to be very tiring lah. So so basically that's probably something I want to drop. Yeah.
Oh wow! I mean, it's just crazy because I meet a lot of inspirational women all the time, and it's in the end, it's about running. It's about handling their family. Ngai Wen, I mean, for a long time, I was just looking through your paragraphs. Like, there's so many things that you've done. Again, I've known Ngai Wen since she started being a host for 3R. And what I admire most about you is you champion a lot of things, and it's about women's rights, about the arts and everything. And you're also running Kaki Seni, and at the same time, you're also a wife and a mom. I mean, how do you juggle all that? Same question as you. How do you juggle everything?
I think
But
what she mentioned.
And you know what's so interesting? I did a shoot with you a couple of weeks ago, or was it a couple of months ago? And you had all your kids with you, and I realized why you're so successful, because you were very calm. You had these kids who were just jumping all over the place. You're like, I can remember your kids and be like, Sean, keep quiet, sit down. Okay, thank you very much. And you were maintaining this calm persona while your kids were like, Is that like that every day in your life?
Am I like that?
It looked like you were like that, very calm, very collected, you know, tak kalang kabut, but your kids were. But it's just the way you are, and I see that that's why you had so many projects and you are able to do that.
Actually, I really just have a really good team. I have a good team at work, and I have a great team at home.
Mm-hmm.
My husbands don't kacau me very much, which is very good. My in-laws are there.
Take note, husbands.
And yeah, your support system is quite important. And my kids, because I'm very close to them, so you know, when you say sit down, they get it. They get you're serious.
But when you said sit down, I also felt like sitting down.
Okay, you're welcome to be my kid too. Yes, but I am known to be scary.
Yeah, but it's great. And okay, you were awarded the Women's Weekly Great Women of Our Time 2012 for the category of Media and Arts, as well as the Bella Creative Award 2013. Fantastic. And then you are also championing Tuka program. You championed the Tuka program, which is a program Transformasi Kedai Runcit. I'm reading all this because there's so many things that I went in, and I feel that I should share this with you guys. You were also selected as a subject matter expert for the Prime Minister's Roundtable on engaging the youth, and subsequently you also were heading the Performing Arts Pillar and the Dasar Industri Kreatif Negara, and you conceptualized women, girls, and you did this thing called Ikal Mayang. Was it just last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah.
2 years ago, and you had 15 different non-traditional people from the arts industry, and most of them were first-time directors.
Yes, correct. Most of them, like 90%. What was that?
I hope no one was hurt. Okay. So yeah, and it was a great idea. You had these people come together and tell women's stories.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, how did that idea come about? That's a really interesting idea.
Actually, it's just a collective of women sitting together and saying that there aren't enough really good roles for women to play in films or for television. So they were just talking about that, and I said, all right, it's just too easy to complain. Let's do something about it. So that's always been about my life. Let's do something about it. So if I were to be able to find money to support what the kind of films you want to be in or you want to tell, would you do it? And I got 15 women saying yes. Kamansu is one of them. She's here. And then we made the films. Yeah.
And it was great. I think you had it screened, and Aisha was hosting it. She was telling me how fantastic it was, all these women's idea. Elaine was a part of it, Sharifah Amani. So
that was last year, and this year we had a regional one. So we went to Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia. We shot films with the directors over there. So we have Nia Dinata, who was the director from Indonesia.
Sorry,
and she
again?
did Nia Dinata. Yeah. So she shot things like Arisan, Jadi Joni, Berbagi Suami.
Yes.
So she was that director. We had the director of photography, a woman from Thailand, who did Shutter. Thailand, you know,
That was
damn scary, yeah. And so she was doing that for us. So we have all this wonderful experience, but the idea is to get women's stories told and heard. So it's Ikal Mayang, you know, rambut panjang, hitam, mayang.
No longer for me.
Yeah, no longer you. And that even though rambut kita sama kelihatannya, tetapi hati kita berlain-lain. It's like saying that each one of us, we've got different experience, different point of view, different opinion, and we all have to be heard. So if we all have to be heard, and the fact is we're not heard enough, you can see the number of films which are called chick flick. I hate that.
Mostly directed by men.
Yeah, directed by men on top of that. And women films are known not to work. Despite being the fact that women are 50% of the population,
The
etc.
viewers. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but moviegoers,
Moviegoers, okay.
men, right? So, yeah, Transformers do like a triple
Captain
time more
America.
than any drama film, for example. Yeah.
I'm a huge chick flick fan. I don't know. It just brightens up my day. Sometimes after a whole day of work, just watching a chick flick, it's fun.
But there aren't enough of you, so that's the other thing. Like what was that show? Blue Jasmine, where Kate Blanchett, was it Kate Blanchett? Yeah, she won the Best Actress in the recent Academy Awards, and that show didn't work very well.
It didn't. But there are a lot of shows like that.
It's drama lah. So depending on what you want lah. So if you want like blow up here, blow up there, you know, a lot of people watch. Godzilla coming all very ugly monster, but people like to watch all.
And that happens in our industry as well.
It's a business model. Yeah.
Sorry?
It's a different kind of business model. It's like selling, you know, like what she does with cakes is like she wants to make sure that every single time she does a cake is different.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to have a model like that all the time when it comes to innovation and creativity. So there are cake makers who make cake for a lot of people, and the cake will be the same. Because it's easy to make the same cake for so many people. What?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the different kind of thing. So you want quantity versus quality, for
Yeah, it
example.
depends on
And
the mass
film,
or not.
yeah, film, for most films, because of the amount of money that they're going to spend, they want to spend like a lot of money so they can get a lot of money back. So, well, that's what it is.
Yeah, but what about you? What sort of, which one would you say you are? Would you be for the one for the mass or for the art?
So, to be really honest, I don't quite belong here. I'm essentially a social entrepreneur, which is really about doing good. It is really about, I run my businesses because it's a mean to an end. I have no choice. I need to sustain the stuff I want to do, which are the good things, which is like telling, say, the producers of the world, or telling station owners that they need to put more women-centric programs on their stations. I go around telling producers to hire the female directors that we've had, worked on our program. We show them, hey, you could have hired this person, and some of them do get hired and work on subsequent projects. So those are stuff that makes a difference in my world, or what I think I'm doing. I'm adding value to make a difference. So that's what I want to do, to do all those stuff that doesn't seem to be able to make money yet. And social entrepreneurship is really not just at its infancy. It's like belum lagi beranak pun in this country. It's harder to convince investor, for example, that your money needs to do good.
Yeah, because they always want to see the returns.
Of course. And social entrepreneurship is really about seeing your money do really good stuff. And if there is a sustainable model, yes, then you can recoup, but rarely more than 3%, and after a long, long time, So those are choices that you want to make. But, like in America, it's gaining a lot of traction because people like Bill Gates, people like what's his name? The other Bill Clinton, yes, and Bill, a lot of different people start to champion social entrepreneurship quite a fair bit because of what the money gets to do, and they feel that they are giving back to the society, and obviously because they make a lot of money that they can never finish in their lifetime. So
yeah. But if you were saying, like, you go into investors, and this is something that you haven't gained the returns yet, but you foresee it being that way one day?
Well, absolutely, for sure.
What is your vision for women, girls?
Sorry?
What is your vision for women, girls?
For example, for women, girls, we want to be able, at this point in time, we are already deploying skills on ground to get more girls to try their hands at the various points of storytelling, whether be it making films or making television shows or telling stories in many different formats. So we go on ground and we deploy skill. We also give them options and role models so that they can be further empowered, etc., etc. So it's like a empowerment through storytelling model.
I see.
But it's not the question, obviously, with most social entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship model is that how then do you track? It's what is success? Can I say that, 5 years later, Sazi Fala became who she is today because 5 years ago she did something for UN under Women Girls, she tells a story. You can't exactly, you can, but is that considered success in that sense? So there are all these questions coming back, through and through. In a lot of countries, social entrepreneurship has got to be like a really obvious, like you deliver medicine, for example, to some really ulu place yang memang tak akan dapat medicine. You bawa the medicine to some really ulu place and you train people to do that on ground so that medicine do get delivered, for example, and you save lives. Yeah, but those are situations in those countries. So how about situations where you don't have that kind of condition, and so what is social entrepreneurship going to do? What kind of value can it add, for example? So Kaki Seni does that. We feel a gap that is still a gap, which is about the arts and culture being an important agenda for the country.
Okay, and what else does Kaki Seni do exactly?
We, aside from advocacy, we lobby for things to happen for the industry. Last year, we helped the government, we facilitated the government to give out 4.4 million ringgit to the industry itself, for them to put on shows, etc., etc. We prepare spaces and we give T&Cs terms and conditions of how a space for any performance to be up should look like, could look like, etc., etc. We basically engage people from different arenas to come in and look at how forward, the models of the arts can be, will be, for example. Yeah, so is that going on and on?
Wow. And you know what? I was just reading up your Ika Mayang. It got where was it? It was selected to premiere internationally at the 18th Busan International Film Festival 2013. So congratulations.
Yeah, that was totally unexpected, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because I remember Vanida coming up to me like, I need a dress to wear.
Oh, and you dressed her? Thank you. Did you dress her? You didn't?
I'm not quite
Jeez,
sure.
why didn't you dress her?
I think I did because she was
Vanida
asking about
Imran?
batik. She was looking because I was doing batik at that time. So she's like, I want to wear something batik, represent Malaysia and all that stuff. So yeah. All right. So yeah, okay. So back to you, Jolene. So I was just a lot of insights from these ladies over here and advice, because you know what, I'm asking all the things that you're doing, but in the end I'm going to ask you guys about the leap that you took. How do you feel when you started your business? Because a lot of entrepreneurs out there, I come from that, and I meet a lot of ladies out there, they're saying, I want to do this, I have this idea, but it's a very scary thing to know that I don't have that support, like, the monthly salary, and how do I make that big leap into that? Like, what's your story?
How did I make the big leap?
Yeah, into studying.
How many of you here are hovering at the middle of jumping or not jumping? Can you just raise? Lucky people. Exciting times.
BJ.
Yeah. Like
I think for Sue and I, my partner is in the hall, by the way. We went through like thick canteen together. I think for Sue and I, we never figured that we would be in entrepreneurship, so we didn't actually consciously leap out of the flying aircraft.
Okay, what were you doing before Incentivize?
So Sue was 18, I was 19. We were still in college, so not too long ago we were still in college.
How long ago was that, college?
Not too long ago, let's just keep it that way. Okay, I'm 25 this year. Right.
Okay.
So the thing is, both Sue and I are scholarship holders, and this will be very arrogant, but this is actually what I thought back then. I used to think, and I'm going to offend a lot of people in the crowd, I used to think that the people who actually went out there and started their own business probably just did that because they couldn't find jobs.
That was your belief?
That was my belief. I was really bad.
And then you went and did the same thing.
The irony of it is I ended up doing this. Right. We both have scholarships, and Susan was just ready to go out there and work with people like PwC. I was very happily ready to jump into General Electric. And what happened was that during our final year, somebody decided to push us into an airplane and said, hey, there was this Maybank Money Tree Young Entrepreneur Startup Challenge, which is the business plan challenge. But the interesting part about that particular challenge is that you actually have to go out there and actually run your idea. It's not just like a business plan challenge. You actually have to raise funds, you have to run your project, and that's how we got started.
So you never worked for anyone?
I got that question a couple of minutes ago by VJ. Does internships count? Okay, no. The answer is no. If like a full-time job is the answer, no. Both of us never did that.
Wow.
Yeah. But you know what the irony is? We actually went out there and then we actually raised funds from strangers. And I remember back then we were both very naive young girls. We sat in Old Town White Coffee House talking to one of the first people who were not our immediate family members. Both of us don't come from very well-to-do families, you see. We sat down with our designer's mom and then we were like, Auntie, we spoke to her for an hour, and then said, this is our business plan, and then we're going to raise X amount of money, and we're going to do this, and we're going to conquer the world, and then you get ROI between 1 to 2 years, and you're going to be filthy rich. then the auntie stared at us, and she's like, so, Joe, how much money are you looking for? And I remember Sue turning to me and come on.
How much?
500 ringgit. We were idiots. But at the end of the day, in fact, one of our first nice angel investors are in the crowd. Ikjun is here. The thing is, essentially, at the end of the day, I think investors invest in you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And
They believe in you.
the worst part about it is, if you ask me, we actually raised about 25,000 ringgit in 1 week, which was pretty interesting. But Sue would agree with me. I think the easiest part is getting the money. The toughest part is actually using it well and scaling it.
Yeah.
I mean, that honestly to me is much tougher than raising money. Money should be the last thing that you ever think about when you want to start something. Yeah, honestly.
Meaning the planning and how to use the money, where do you execute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we started 25,000 on a school project,
Okay.
which was we wanted to create a lonely planet for college students so that before you even come to college, you know where to rent a house, where to actually do some food, etc. So we were young, naive little girls going out there and then doing all this stuff. And we realized after some time, which was 4 months, that, hey, this is actually quite sucky. No one wants to pay a magazine that has a circulation of 6,000 ringgit, 6,000 copies compared to like other magazines. But the thing is, things fall into place because we got DG as a sponsor. And back then, 3 years ago, social media wasn't a thing. We got Maybank, who wanted to also do social media, and then we had to form a company because they wanted to pay us to run it for them.
Oh wow! So how did you?
So
these are the things I found out. They came to you, or you went out and looked for it, like
we
opportunities
went
and stuff like
out to look for them for something else, but we ended up doing something else instead.
that?
Yeah. So I think sometimes businesses are things who change, and we've gone so far from back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, it's like crazy. I mean, one of our mentors would come and tell us, Joe, do you remember the time where you wanted to sell fitness equipment? And we were like, oh shit. Okay, but anyway, those are the days. Yeah.
But I mean, tell us about? Okay, you were saying you did this and everything, but what is the major learning that you've had this past 4 years? Oh well, since you.
Well, the 500 ringgit learning was that don't ask for 500 ringgit. I think you should be never afraid to ask. Because the worst thing that you can get is a no.
Yeah.
And one of the worst parts about people starting out is that you actually don't do the asking enough. That's one key takeaway. Another key takeaway from lessons learned, I think 1 year ago, was that the faster you fail, the faster it is for you to find something that works. Yeah.
The faster you fail?
The faster you fail.
Okay.
Because we did a lot of silly mistakes on our road. For example, we run a bonus link for education as well. Well, one of the things in which we very ideally thought would be the kids would be very motivated if we created this auction where the kids can use their points, which is earned in class, to auction for a PS3. A very exciting class.
Okay.
Then I realized that, oh my goodness, these kids don't know what an auction is.
Yeah,
it's impossible to run it.
Yeah.
So you have to actually go out there and find out, as fast as you can from the market, what works and what does not work. And a lot of times when we are business owners and we are very passionate about what we do, we end up thinking that the best solutions are the best in our boardrooms or in our thinking rooms, and you just don't go out there and test it. So that's one of the other lessons which we've learned. Yeah.
And it says here, I mean, it looks like you're very big on education because, again, Senseless, it was formerly known as Senseless. In Sentify, what you do is, again, in a nutshell, what you explained earlier on is you create sort of like this social or this community of teachers and students. So they have to register. I'm just trying to guess. They register.
You're doing quite well, actually.
Okay.
Go on.
So, and the teachers will then give them points for good behavior. And those points, those kids can actually use it to beli PS3.
Things like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how did this idea come about?
It's a big thing in the US. We're not the first. It's called behavior management.
Yes.
So we're just coming out with our own interpretation of it. To be entirely honest, education is our passion. Like Sue and I feel that we've been in social media for 3 years. We've done marketing and we've done it well and helped our clients. But essentially, at the end of the day, there's still one little small baby of ours which we're interested to do, which is to benefit our people in education. That's how we actually got into this, and we powered the largest financial education website to teach kids how to save money, etc. But to be entirely honest, we also made several mistakes, like assumptions on how the market is ready or not ready to actually accept this and pay for it in schools in Malaysia. So we've actually pivoted. We've taken the engine in which we created for education and actually applied it back to our social media related industries to actually allow all these businesses to use rewards for points, not only at point of purchases, but when fans actually recommend their business on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. So it's a pivot. But eventually, I think Sue and I will agree to find some way to make the education portion work.
Yes, because that is your main goal and that is your passion.
That's the passion.
But the bonus link part, where the social media sharing,
the bonus link part is something that's
moving.
already existing and is generating revenue.
Yes.
The easiest way I can think of doing it, if I was speaking Ngayuan just now, that actually inspired me a little bit, was that we could probably generate profit and sustain the education from one end. That would still be social entrepreneurship. But the ideal situation is you want to make the education side be self-sustainable. At the moment, it's not yet.
Okay.
We have nailed
and those would be one of your struggles right now.
Right. We have nailed big sponsorships for financial education like Maybank. But to me, sponsorships are not sustainable.
And why is that?
You have to keep going out for sponsorships. It's like asking for donation, right?
Yeah.
I think it's not charity. Well, yeah. So there has to be other ways. Shouldn't be charity, yes. It's supposed to be something which would last beyond the fact that the people leave. Yeah. There you go.
And so that would be one of your, that's your vision basically, to have that run on its own.
Guys, I have a question. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Just jumping in because I can, I can see the people on the floor all dying to, like, there's a 5 million questions, so I thought I'd jump in.
Okay.
I have 2 questions. The first one is, and I know I'm going to get differing answers, but that's precisely what I want. What, in each of your opinions, is the single most important success factor in entrepreneurship? The second question is, as women, have you faced discrimination?
Right. The first question, my answer would be, never be afraid to fail. I think failing is part of business. And you just have to be good at failing. Good means be able to bangun semula dan lihat dunia ini dengan mata yang baru, whatever that you like. But basically, adapt yourself and understand the feeling of failing, because that's how you will feel most of the time.
Yeah.
And the second question, no. Do you face discrimination? You don't face? Awesome.
We never want to talk about that. The more we talk about that, is the more we're going to say, yes, there's going to be inequality. So we will not talk about how women are discriminated, ever.
Woohoo! Because a problem is a problem when you only think it's a problem. So there's no problems.
I've actually never felt discriminated since I started my business, so I don't see an issue with it.
What were you going to say?
I'll say because you make cakes.
Yeah, so I'm safe.
I mean, and a lot of people out there believe that women make cakes.
Exactly!
That is a discrimination.
Don't get me started.
He stood there and say that. That is a discrimination.
There are also
Guys,
male chefs.
I just.
But then, again, it's a form of flattery because you acknowledge that we're better than you.
No, I wanted to ask that question specifically because I think that the issue of discrimination, especially in our society where it is very patriarchal, needs to be addressed because it's so woven into the fabric that sometimes people don't even know it's there.
Oh.
So I think it's yes, I think one approach is to say what discrimination, that's great, but on the flip side, it's easy for us sitting here in the Klang Valley with our smartphones and our modern toys and our modern lives to imagine that we don't have that, but I think there's another world of discrimination in terms of gender discrimination in other parts of Malaysia, and it's something that guys like you, by standing up and succeeding, are doing Helen Reddy
Inspiring.
and the rest of the world proud, because you're an example for all those women who don't have a voice. And it's very important that you think about that.
I honestly think it's an advantage being a woman.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because so okay, so answering question.
Yeah. Success factor.
Okay, success factor, I would say determination. In the sense, how, I mean, how I do it is, you've ask yourself why you want to take that leap.
Mhm.
Okay. For me, it was I actually I work and which is one of the questions.
Yeah.
I worked with, of course, I used to have a job.
You're in
and
corporate. Yeah.
yeah, and
You
I
still
work.
have a job.
Technically, I
You
don't call
employ
it a
yourself.
job, but for me, when I because I report direct to my CEO,
Mhm.
and this so every time when we travel, like when we just touch down like in Korea or whatever, he the first thing he goes and he'll say, I miss my son. Then I'm like, that time I didn't have a son yet, so I'm like, ayo, so kesian this fella. And then before we leave, then he said, hey, cannot, I cannot see you lah. I cannot meeting. I want to play with my son before we fly. Then I'm like, really? So so after that, I like, something is wrong here. So so and then finally when I got married and I know that, oh, I need to be a mother and la la la, then I said, hey, the last thing I want to do is like my CEO lah.
Yeah.
So kesian, have to, ayo, I miss my son lah, don't see my son and everything. So I said, no, I think I have to start my own business, which is actually a kind of a myth. Because when you do your own business, yes, you have flexi hours, but the flexi hours is what I don't know, is no working hours lor. No,
You end
no
up
working
spending
hours
more
lah.
time.
Flexi.
You end up spending more time.
Yeah, it's like continuous, no working hours. It's, you want to work, you work. So that's the flexi part. So I think that's the very big myth that people thought when you do business you have more time. Rubbish. It's not
Yeah.
more time. It's called flexi. Yes. Okay. So for me, when you grab that reason to do the business and you hold on to it and you believe in it and you want to make sure you reach that goal, you need that thing and you put it in your mind. Okay, whatever it is, like, want to be rich, want to whatever lah, put it in your mind and you write it down. In fact, and every time you falling, like you say, it's normal. It's how you pick yourself up, and this thing will pick yourself up. So you need to always remind yourself, okay, ini, I want to get this so that helps lah for me. Okay, so for me, it's more of like, I always
Having
say,
a goal, write it
I always
down.
say, when the home is in, for me, I want to eventually spend like time with my kids and stuff. So I don't want to miss, keep on missing them, right? So that's my goal lah. For the second question, I think it's very well. I mean, unfortunately, don't hit me, but unfortunately,
agree to disagree.
in the tech world, I think it's very obvious. It's a very male-dominated industry.
is.
It's very, in fact, the first time I actually went for Echelon, which is like the tech event, right? Which is like 5 years ago. I was actually pregnant and I was the only lady in the.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So but then for me, how it's not about women and la la la, but more of like how you use that as a advantage. Yeah, because can you imagine if, let's say, 10 pitches, all men except you, one lady, everyone should remember, hey, that lady. So use whatever you think is discrimination to your advantage lah. Yeah, so that's it.
Exactly how I feel. I think it's an advantage, and I think women, we have that power of persuasion. Like Beyonce says, run the world.
Yeah.
So what about you? So what is your success
answering
factor?
the first question, I think perseverance. Not afraid to fail. When I first started my business, if you ask my mom, I had the most horrible temper. Like, I get upset at everything and I break down and I cry and I'm like, how do am I meant for this business is this what I'm supposed to do? Why is everything so hard? But as I face the challenges by the year and by the months, and now it gets easier. You embrace the difficulty, you embrace the challenge, and that's most important, I think. in running any sort of business. You embrace the difficulty because it helps you. It helps you realize your mistakes. It helps you note what it takes to bring you further. Also, I think never settle.
Yes.
Never settle at your own idea. Always aim for more. As how I mentioned, like my assistants always tell me, Satira, it's fine, stop touching it. No, I don't think it's fine. And they're like, but no one's gonna notice it. I notice it.
Yeah.
You know, so never settle. Always aim for higher. Never be like, okay, for example, you post up pictures and then you get like about 1,000 likes or 100 likes or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, my work's awesome. No, you have to say, how do I beat my own work? So before someone else beat me. Okay, so that's how you differentiate yourself. And I think when it comes to discrimination, I think I was never discriminated as a woman, but I was discriminated by my choice of picking up this industry as my career. They're like, you're a smart girl, you speak so well, why do you want to settle for baking and stay in the kitchen? No, that was not what I have in mind. I have a lot of ideas in my mind to bring myself out of the kitchen, but bringing my skills in the kitchen out into the world. So it's about how you brand yourself. When I first started my business, people just say, baker. No, I have a different vision of how I want to label myself. I wanted to label myself as a cake stylist. And so I branded myself as such. I started, making cakes for celebrities, making cakes for VIPs, to put myself, because I want to distinguish myself from the rest and bring my brand to a more exclusive level. I didn't want to just do for the masses. I wanted to do more. And to further mention, to go international. So you have to ask yourself, what do you really want to do? Do you just want to make money and sell lots of cupcakes, quality more than quantity? Or do you want to focus on quantity and be acknowledged for your skills? And to bring your skills, which could start off as pretty average, just in the kitchen, and take it into a whole new level and start an industry on its own. Now, I have to say, not being arrogant, but actually very proud, that because of how I have started my business plan, a lot of young girls actually want to follow in my footsteps, and I'm more than happy to teach them. That is my social entrepreneurship, to educate girls to bring themselves out of the normal box, normal nutshell, and label yourselves in ways that you want yourself to be labeled, not the usual. So in terms of, I guess I've answered both questions. Discrimination in terms of
the
choices that you make, but you create the choices that you make. I told my friends used to laugh at me. I'm like, you wait, I'm going to prove to you. And now they're like, I wish I had your career. You know, I dropped out of architecture. I dropped off 2 colleges, actually. My mom was very upset with me. I did not talk to her for like almost a year because I purposely failed my 2nd year just to prove a point. Ma, I don't want to do architecture. My mom's like, you finish until you get a degree. I'm like, no. And then I went to art school. I was doing fine. I was a top student for 2 years, and then suddenly art school got a bit too expensive. I'm like, I cannot pay.
So that was your passion.
And then so even after that, I don't have a degree, and I job hop many times, trying to find my footing, and finally I found it. But a lot of people also say, a lot of girls also get worried, because they job hop here and there. And then they come to a certain age, I'm like, oh my God, I job hop so much, no one wants to hire me, but I want to start a business, You know what? I took all my other experiences, no matter within a limited of time, or, most of my job experiences were just 6 months. But I realize now it had given me an advantage. I know people in so many different industries, and it has proved beneficial to my networking. I hardly spend much on marketing, because I know so many people in the media industry more than willing to help me promote my business willingly. So I think another key, very important key in running a business is to make friends and remain friends, because you never know when they come in handy to you, because these are the people who will help you along the way. Don't burn bridges.
Having a support system.
Having a support system. Of course, again, one more very important thing, I started my business from home. Now I have my own space, but before I had to use my dad's kitchen. He wasn't too happy about that. My mom used to forced our whole family. We were a small unit of 4 before my father passed away last year. try to convince the whole family to have a meeting once a week as to how we should schedule the space, the workspace. What time should I use the kitchen? What time can my dad use the kitchen? You know, what time should I clean out the space so that we still have a normal home environment yet still be suited to my business. So I had, alhamdulillah, the strongest, although they were a bit hesitant in the beginning,
Skeptical maybe.
but they saw how, you know, passionate I was about doing, you know, staying up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's flexibility, yeah. Doing your own business.
Flexible sangat
Not,
lah.
not
4 o'clock in the morning.
sleeping suddenly 1 o'clock in the afternoon and then, you know, continue your work.
Crazy.
But eventually, people, when you are steadfast and you are firm about your passion, the people around you will support you and
Yes.
come to a realization, this is what she wants to do, this is what brings out the best in her, and they will support you fully. So my family supported me, and alhamdulillah. For the past 3 years, I didn't spend too much time with my family because I was just so obsessed with running my business. But to know that they have my back whenever I need them. I still need sometimes a little bit of assistance delivering cakes here and there, and then tiba-tiba my assistant tak dapat datang, my mom ke my dad tolong hantar cake. So you will always constantly need your family backup plan, you know. You need them on rainy days. So yeah, that's my answer.
Support system is great.
I'll keep it short because I think there's probably like more questions from the floor. I don't think I'm being discriminated. There are a lot of advantages being a female entrepreneur. And I don't think there's one singular quality to make us successful. It's a different story if you're talking about qualities to make a business successful. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Success factor. That's all.
Well, I'm sure there's more questions from the floor, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to open the floor to Q&A. I'm sure some of you are dying to ask some questions, and there are questions that I'm probably not asking. If you have a question, raise your hand, or there's a mic in the middle. Should I go to the mic? Yeah. So feel free to walk to the mic. We're making it as cozy as possible. It's open. Anybody? All right. Let's hear from you. Isn't that your... Angel investor, yeah.
Yeah, hi. Congratulations to all of you for being so successful.
Thank you. I am looking for an investor. Hello?
Okay. My question is, I'm sure you have learned a lot and struggled a lot since your early days up to today. So what are you doing differently today, based on what on your experiences of your failures, of the experiences you have earned? So what are you doing differently today in your business to make it better?
As compared to last time when
Yes.
you first started it? That's a great question. So what are you doing different now?
Maybe you should talk over tea.
Banyak.
It's very broad.
It's a lot of stuff. Like a lot of stuff. But if I have to pick one, just to answer that question off the top of my head, maybe, is to rethink the word innovation. And that innovation can be applied not just in a product, but also in the way you run your business, and also in the way you look at different things, and even in the way that you have a relationship. Even as simple as having a relationship with your husband, for example. All these things can be innovated upon. So one of the models that we worked on initially, because we are very service-driven, all the fleets of companies that I am running are all very service-oriented. So when the service-oriented, it means that if there are no people working, then I'm not going to be able to get the money. So for example, if we're talking about design and this customer or this client say, okay, I need the design, I need it very urgently, it needs to be out at 9 a.m. tomorrow because I need to present it. And then she tells you at 10 p.m. So the only thing you could do is really call up, you know, your team and say, I'm so sorry, can you please do this design for me? I know it is 10 p.m. This client really needs it. And then information will only come in at 12 o'clock, and that means that this teammate of yours will have to work around the clock to deliver that thing. So then what we looked at it, and it affected us how difficult it was to play this role of almost begging. And then we think about whether the model of the servicing industry work for our teammates. So then what we did was we changed the structure of our company. So we made everybody accountable
by making them partners. But the way we structure the partnership is very interesting, obviously. Then it's tiered very differently depending on what they are able to contribute and offer. But what that does to the business immediately is that they all feel so responsible, as where
take ownership.
before that it was like, I'm just serving you. I don't care lah, whether, I'm being employed. Versus now I own it. That client want, okay, I do now. So the reaction and the time is completely different. And in fact, it saved me so much of my problems of having to feel like I owe my employee and I have to serve my client, and I feel like a horrible person here and a horrible person everywhere. But now it solved all my problems and the works get delivered. I'm happy. It's beautiful. I'm good.
It's creating that team in the end. You're all a team. And what about you?
For me, I think so. Just now she said the failing thing is a normal thing. I think everyone who starts business always like you have the ideal plan, like whoa, I'm gonna make so much money, woo, But I think changing the mindset is very important. Like, okay, it's not happening that way. And ideas doesn't come like boom, whoa, Yeah, it doesn't. It's just maybe, but not necessarily. You have like a great idea, got likes and everything. But it's more of everyday things. You do whatever. I mean, because I build apps, so I'm answering in this way. So, I think first thing is the mindset. You have to change the mindset. Don't be so ideal. Okay, failing is normal.
Yeah.
It's how you get up is important. And then I think putting a reason to everything you do. So just now I said we do client work, so that pays the bills. But another thing that we do is build our own products, and the products that we build is we build. So far we built like two not too bad apps, and one of them is actually selfie cam, which is like I think we hit like 100,000 downloads in 4 months or something.
Selfie cam. How does that work?
Anyway, you smile and you take a picture. Selfies.
Yeah.
So yeah, go to App Store and you find it. But yeah, it's made by a Malaysian. Woo! And we got featured in US iTunes.
Wow.
Yeah. So which is
Congratulations.
So why that happened was because like we're like, we must show the world that Malaysia can do good apps, something like that. So it kind of gives it more meaning, and when you actually get there, it's like, wow, the feeling is shock gila lah. So yeah, something like that. When you, I think putting a reason to it, like what whatever you're passionate for, you build according to that. If I mean, of course, not everyone has that opportunity, but if you do, you start like that, I think it gives you an extra boost. And for us, it was like that. Doing and also one more thing is like she started this social entrepreneur, so everyone's like highlighting now. So anyway, for us, another thing was exciting is because mobile during I said that we started when there is like none, right?
Yeah.
So one way we are trying to give back to the community, I mean, is to train. So we actually do internships. And when the interns come, they actually build an app. Yeah, so selfie I think is one of them. And another one was like daily inspirational. I mean, for us, we built the Christian version, which is daily devotions. So that also turned out very well. I think why this app actually turned out very well is because there is a purpose to it. It's like. And the intern when we teach him also, we like, wow, super energy, like then he also like super energy, want to, wow, I can feel that, man, whoa. And at the end of the day, we actually that's our way of teaching and contributing back, to the interns lah. So I think that would change, and that's what we did lah. When we had that chance of doing that, we did it, and that's why we have like few internal apps that.
Yeah. And you have to keep on doing different things. You're doing mobile apps.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's constantly different, but the difference is like client one, you cannot do anything. I mean, as in you can advise and everything, but at the end of the day, it's client work. So you have to service based. So you have to commit to whatever they want. But having said that, so the moment where we had that opportunity, so now we have two teams. One team as in they manage the client work, and then we have one team that just does internal products. So currently we're actually working on children Bible stories. Yeah, so we actually developed the app and it's coming out. So it's like no more. Like more of interactive, because I have my 3-year-old son. So that's why I got a reason. So when I put a reason, I think the product would be really great, and I think that helps. So being passionate for what you are doing a business, and hopefully have a reason and passion tied to it is the best formula. I think, yeah.
Having a bigger reason than
Yes. Then just making money lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that's the boost lah, the boost, and I would definitely, and that's what I'm still practicing. Hopefully, I can practice that long enough.
No, I think that's very important. Having a bigger vision. Okay, this is what you want to do. Like you changing the industry for the women, things like that. Having that vision drive you. I have a few answers. I think. What am I doing differently back then? Oh, you know what? We'll go ahead with your question.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
My name is Tanya. There's this hypothetical person. Okay.
Okay.
So this person is successful in his or her career. She quits. She starts up her own. She fails. Do you think this would cause any difficulties in her getting a job in the future? Because she would last be known as a failure and not a success. That is the freshest in people's memory.
That's a fear, right? Can I take that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've always been a bit arrogant.
As you mentioned before.
I've always been a bit arrogant, so I'll be like, for me personally, the whole reason why I think I first jumped off the ship and started entrepreneurship was that I believe that even if I failed entrepreneurship, I will be able to get a job. That's the arrogance in me speaking.
And you know what? I think that arrogance works.
Yeah.
What you believe in will become a reality.
Well, it's also because of the fact it's not the failure that matters. It's how what you learn from the failure and how you frame it during an interview. I would be more likely to hire a marketing person, for example, who failed in something before and can tell me because of that failure, I now know that I can do this and do this better. Yeah, so I think there's also a deeper sense towards that because this is something arrogant people have another challenge altogether. Our arrogance are the type that like if I fail, I can't live with myself. Hence I wouldn't even jump. That's the tougher part about it. And I think the difference here would be that you eventually have to ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? And if you are okay with the worst that can happen, then you're okay. And I guess essentially it boils down to the fact that whether you are willing to take that worst that could happen, because there are so many paths in life. Entrepreneurship is like just one out of many. There are very happily employed people, just like there are a lot of happily starting their own stuff people, right? So there's no one sure way. Yeah, I hope that sort of helps.
It does. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions?
This is for Ngai Yuan.
Prepare yourself
Remember
for a
when-
long answer.
Remember when you say that you have difficulties to get companies to donate or invest, something like that, for your NGOs? Why don't they get tax exemption for that?
They do. They do get tax exemption, but it's just not good enough. Being tax exempted is not good enough for investment. And I will never call myself a charity. I have huge problem with that. I want to be able to never call myself a charity. Yeah. But that's the connotation that ties around an NGO. And the reason why we're an NGO is so that we get the tax exemption status and to benefit the investors. But if you're called an investor, chances are if you turn there and look at the investor,
Hello.
that
Yeah.
angel at the back there, and then you will realize that they are all looking for return. That's why it's called investment. If not, they would just call giver. Yeah, which not enough giver in this country lah. Yeah, but yeah, it's just not.
Well,
enough.
some angels are pretty much givers, right? Angels.
I'll have to
I'm
speak
still
to
looking
you.
for that giver. Where?
That's why.
He's like the most
Gonna run
popular
out the
guy in
door
the
after
room,
this.
and I'm done. Yeah, it's like under the chair somewhere.
Everyone like just zoom in and look for him later.
Thank you for the introduction, though. So, okay, did that answer your question? Any other questions, guys? Oh, I love this. So Rani.
Hi, my name is Shima.
Hi, Shima.
Hi, I want to ask Satira, because I'm also a baker and working mother of 3.
Woohoo!
I got 2 teenage girls and 1 boy. So it's very hard to manage. I only have weekends to do my bakery jobs, and then how do you manage, resources? Because I usually use my kids to help me. Please do this, fry this for me.
Oh no, child labor.
No, no.
Child labor.
I only give birth to them. That is the only way for them to, pay me back.
No, by right they should.
Help
It's
me.
a fun thing. Yeah, it's a fun
Right.
thing. Yeah.
I have no issues with child labor.
Yeah.
Because
I got another question. You said you want to go internationally, so what is your plan towards that? Because of course you have to conquer Malaysia first, then international. If you want to be like Malaysia Mata Steward, you have to be well known in Malaysia first, then internationally. And then the other question for Ninja, Janice. Janice, is it?
Janice.
Janice. Ninja. Okay.
Ninja.
Because I also work in media advertising companies, so we have a bit difficulties in terms of, we also do mobile apps. How do you manage limited resources in terms of specialty doing mobile apps, because we facing every day in the office. If I
Problem
can,
solved.
if I can. And then how do you, it's a general question, how do you retain your customer, become a loyal customer? Because nowadays it's a bit difficult to retain loyal customer, because a lot of competitor and good products out there, especially Malaysia, and also imported products from overseas.
Okay. So Satira first.
First question.
How do you
is
go-
time? I'm not a mother, so to a certain extent, it's a bit hard for me to relate. However, I do know what it's like to juggle a few things at one time. Being the busiest at the weekend is good, because even for me, I usually prep my weekday for the weekend. So I've already put it in my mindset to at least have one day of just shutting everyone out. I just sleep. I don't answer the phone calls, whatever. People want to get upset with me. I don't care. I need my sleep. My shut-off day is Monday. I don't care if people email me on Monday, because I work on Saturday, Sunday, right? So that's when I just shut out, because if I don't shut down at least once a week, I cannot perform the rest of the week. So what I would say for you is to have one day shut down to yourself. Maybe, spend a bit of time with your kids, and then just conceal yourself from the world for a bit, and then you'll be refreshed the next day. And then plan ahead, I think. Since you're busiest during the weekend, spend your weekday prepping sikit-sikit lah, buat sikit-sikit kan. And with regards to child labor, I'm not sure in what sort of neighborhood are you living in. How I work, I'm spilling my secrets here, man, but it's just between you and me. These people not in the baking industry, so it's fine. Okay, so I work very close with kids and my neighbors' kids. So and a lot of students actually. I have a lot of part-time staff. I think about 9 now, not inclusive of the little minions. So they're all actually students from various courses, not necessarily culinary. They come, they're inspired by my work. They come to me because they want to learn, not to get money, not to make money, because they know, and I make it very clear from the beginning, you won't get a lot of salary working with me, but I will teach you everything that I know. when I first started my business, I was very stingy about my knowledge because it's my baby, and I had been, how do you say, sabotaged many times in the beginning, where people just come to work with me for a few days just to see where I get my supplies from, how I work, and then they leave me and they start their own business. And I felt really hurt in the beginning. But after a while, I've come to realize that the more I share my knowledge with others, the more I gain, the more knowledge I inherit from other sources, because that's just how life works. That's how God works, right? So I've come to be a bit more relaxed when it comes to sharing my knowledge. So Alhamdulillah, the neighborhood that I'm working in, you know, mothers and kids, it just started off with like one neighbor's daughter. Then she calls her sister. Then the sister calls her friends. Then suddenly I have like a whole like army of minions working for me and during their school holidays. And they're more than happy to work because they want to learn, especially when it comes to skills like baking, party design. Girls in general love anything related to creativity. So be friends with your neighbors. You know, ask them, anak you nak tolong I tak weekend ni kan? Ajaklah kawan-kawan dia sekali. So just, that's how it works, you know. You have to acknowledge, you know, make it clear that there's not a lot of money involved when it comes to payment. But at the same time, you take care of them. I buy them food for lunch, breakfast, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and, you know, and during the whole time that they're at my studio working, I'll make sure they do not spend on food, because I know I cannot offer them much in terms of salary. It works as well for my staff who are students. So, and also the way I work is I now adopt a senior system. So whoever comes in first, I'll, you know, kind of like teach them whatever I know. When someone new comes in, I get them to teach the next person. That way you don't get so stressed out training people all the time. Because that was what I felt when the first 2 years I was in the business. I was like, oh my God, to train people again. Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I don't want to look for, you know, it really drains you out. But when you trust to teach someone, you trust the information, the knowledge that you've given to someone, and that person can guide someone else, you will feel like a huge burden lifted off your shoulders. So that's how I work nowadays. So now I'm not so worried because they're all students and somehow, you know, they want to work with friends. So Alhamdulillah, so far, unless it's like exam season, it's a bit tough lah. I have to cut down my orders. I have to like, you know, manage. But other than that, also my students come from various unis and colleges, so their timetable is always different, so it's good. But that's how I work, you know. I don't target for, I want a staff who is a degree holder or whatever. No, I look for girls who want to learn, and not with an intention to steal my business ideas, but just to learn. I'll be more than happy, because a lot of them, after, you know, maybe a year, 2 years working with me, they start their own business, or maybe while working with me, some are running their business aside, but they're very transparent with me. Satira, I also bake cakes for my friends, whatever. I said, that's cool with me. Sometimes they ask me, can I use your oven? Yeah, of course. But if you're going to do a job, and while you're working with me, don't embarrass me. Make sure you do a good job. Because, you know, I'm your teacher. People will know I'm your mentor. Apply whatever I've taught you. So that kind of ambience that you create will encourage a lot of other people and a lot of young girls to come and work for you. So for you, for starters, I think start off with your neighbors. This is the best, you know? My little minions, I love them. Also, when it comes to, you say, bringing myself international, I've actually somewhat started going international, because just last year I was hired by an Australian who's a businessman in Bali to help start up a wedding cake business department in his bakery. So in a sense, I've actually gone international, but of course I need to, that's just a small portion. I've had clients in Singapore, so I've somewhat traveled. But you're right, I need to really capture, you know, the country first, Malaysia as a whole. And my future plan is to eventually create a craft show like Martha Stewart. But before I do that, like the main issue that seems to be occurring time and time again tonight is about sponsorship. So in order for me to get good sponsors, I need to build my brand name. And in order for me to build my brand name is to provide quality products. And how do you retain loyalty is to give added services. You added services that are not written in your quotation. For example, I'll deliver to you for free, or I will stay, should your cake fall down, I'll come over again to your house and fix it. All these little services mean a lot to your client. And just maintain a good relationship. Usually people will come to you because they're comfortable with you. Of course, allow them to go to other places so they can compare. Don't be angry, oh, dah tak nak order dari I don't know, whatever. Just because everyone has, their own piece of pie. You don't have to worry because kalau klien ni tak datang kat you, because taste is very subjective at the same time. There will be others come to you. Just have to trust in the business.
Stay positive, yeah?
Stay positive, yeah.
I think there was a question for...
Actually, I can't really remember.
Yeah. I also cannot remember.
It was allocation of resources.
Resources?
Yes.
Oh, you need, okay. The fact, the more, okay, so you have, you run a baking business from your house, and you also run a mobile app. Oh, you work with the advertising company who does mobile apps for third parties or internal? Like you're doing client work lah. Okay, so you're saying that you don't have enough staff to do mobile apps?
What was the question?
How do I
have enough
manage?
staff, but it's a bit restriction in terms of specialties.
Means the capabilities.
Yeah,
Okay,
correct.
because that's why I think
so end up we can't deliver a good product to
come
end
to
users,
me.
to the customer.
Okay,
that is
but
the last choice.
yeah. So
that is the problem.
I don't really think that there is an answer on.
You
I mean,
train them?
But how do you manage? How do you manage?
what do
that?
you mean? How do you manage?
That means
How do you manage?
Because the
How
thing
do
is, at the moment, I have staff who can do everything. in a way. Yeah.
okay,
So are you saying how do I manage my resources, or how do I manage the project? That when I get a project, I cannot deliver. Which question is it? Manage what?
how do you manage? One is resources in
Okay.
terms of specialties doing that particular project.
I
do
train.
it-
I train from scratch.
Oh,
That's why.
okay.
So what I do is,
that
yeah.
is,
So what I do is, my tech partner is like guru
okay.
of everything when it comes to mobile. So he front boleh, back boleh, everything also boleh. So he's very good. And what we do is we train. We always train our staff. Like what Satira said, just don't be stingy with the. Yeah, just train. But I think in your case, you don't have someone like that to train.
Yes.
So it's actually okay.
What they just do,
I mean,
they do
my
trial
honest-
and error. That's all.
Okay, my honest opinion is that you see, if you do a project that you are okay, so that's how when I shared, I so-called send my tech partner back to school, is when we did that. So it's very dangerous to. For mobile, it's very dangerous for you to not be good at what you do. I feel if that's your business, if that's your main income or whatever, you have to be very good at it before you start selling. If you don't even believe that you can do it, how are you going to make people believe? So it's very risky, because if you take a project, you're not only risking yourself, as in like, yeah, this company sucks lah. Okay, you're not only risking that, you're also risking people, as in the person who actually awarded to you, the person who trusted you that you would deliver. So I think it's a very risky thing. Speaking about mobile capability, it's actually, I mean, at the moment, I think mushrooming. All the little mobile companies are mushrooming, but please be very careful. It's a note to everybody. Please be very careful who do you engage, because there are this. Remember, I told you, you code in Java, you throw it in this system, who is a third-party system, and it comes out an app. This is called hybrid. Okay, be very careful, because when you want something, say you want feature 1, 2, 3, they will code, they will put inside. If your third feature or whatever feature, this engine cannot support, what they'll do is they have to call the third party and ask them to support and solve the problem. I think most probably you might be facing a lot. Mobile developers will come and tell you, oh, I can build mobile app, but be very careful, because that's not really true lah. Okay, so I think if my advice to you is don't always, maybe you can take the project, but always have a backup. Means you get a code separately. Okay.
Thank you.
This is the part of, when you watch the Grammy Awards and the Academy Awards, And they're making the speech, and then the music comes up, and the guy's like, I want to thank my wife, and it's like, so I'm the music, lah, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm done.
Thank
I
you,
just wanted
Vijay.
to answer. Yeah.
This work? No? Yes. It does? Okay. Listen, how about a big round of applause for all of you? Thank you very much. It was enlightening, at some points a bit illegal. You know, there were various allusions to forms of labor not otherwise sanctioned by our current constitution, but we will avoid such discussions. I think it was certainly for me, I don't know about the rest of you, certainly enough food for thought, because, you know, I think Malaysia's always been a very, when people ask, why is Malaysia so lepak? Like, we could be so much greater, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no natural calamities. Food is abundant. Weather is great. So we're kind of chilled, lah. You know what I mean? And so, as a consequence, you're just frightened to leave your comfort zone, because there isn't the fear that if I don't do this, I'm going to die. Right? So the impetus to step out, as you say, and jump off the plane isn't there. On that note, I would really hope that, you know, for those of you who have that spark and are ready to jump off the plane, this is a good one. If you think that's a good idea, if you fail, you know who to come and blame. You have their email addresses and Facebook, etc. You know, you can't, you know, the way you said that you just feed your people, the children around, they come, you make sure they get lots of food and drink and everything. Yeah. So, exactly. So in the same way, we also make sure you get food and drink and all, because we're not really paying you, lah. But as a small token of appreciation, I have some nice. No, the food.
Lots of food. Yeah, could we have the ladies stand up, please? Thank you.
So I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who want to, for you too.
Oh, thank you. Alana, thank you. I'm a freeloader. Thank you.
So I think, you know, there's still lots of food and there are lots of people. So now you can sit down with them and ask them the real questions that you really want to know, that you don't want to share with other people. So once again, big round of applause. Stick around. There's a lot more food, and these people are still here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.